Welcome to AfriFreedomChannel, your home for unapologetic truth, historical clarity, and bold analysis on African politics, history, and revolutionary thought. Before we dive in, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more critical updates and perspectives like this one. Your engagement helps amplify the truth and push back against centuries of distortion. We also encourage you to join the conversation by dropping your thoughts in the comment section. Let us know how these issues affect your understanding of Africa's past, present, and future. We welcome your opinions, but let's keep it respectful, grounded, and constructive. Disclaimer: the views presented in this video are for educational and critical analysis purposes only. They do not seek to incite hate or division, but rather to unpack historical realities, amplify suppressed voices, and promote informed engagement with Africa's sociopolitical struggles. No offering goes to heaven. Every time we gather offering in church, it is men that spend it. These words by Pastor Abel Damina challenge a long-standing and uncomfortable truth about the structure of modern African religious life.
Even those tithe mongers that tell you when you pay tithe, the doors of heaven are open. The doors have been opened since Jesus rose from the dead. The doors have never been closed. They are just working on people's minds. I heard some of them say that I'm an evil person because I say you shouldn't pay tithe. That he and his children will pay tithe. He has to talk like that so that he will keep collecting from people. If he doesn't talk like that, people will not keep giving him. And I won't be surprised if he's not paying tithe to anybody. Most of them, they are greedier than greed. They collect from everybody, but they don't pay to anybody. I was there. There's nothing you will tell me that I don't know there. Nothing. Because there's nothing new under the sun.
In many churches, particularly in parts of Africa, offerings have become commercial transactions, fueling institutions that often operate more like businesses than spiritual sanctuaries. It begs a serious question: have we turned faith into a market? When pastors live lavishly while members languish in poverty, who really benefits from these offerings? Should African spirituality be measured by how much we give or how deeply we live its values? We want to hear from you. Do you think the church is being used as an instrument of financial exploitation in Africa? The United Nations continue to sideline every African interest, but pay us to vote for their interests. That was Dr. Arikana Kihombori speaking boldly on a global injustice that most mainstream platforms avoid.
Why are we still going to the United Nations as Africans? That is a useless entity. It's not for us. The largest voting bloc in the United Nations are the African nations. We don't have a seat on the table. Why do we go there? We go to the United Nations to vote on their issues. They pay African countries. Yes. Oh, vote with us on this issue. Vote with us on this issue. Mm-hmm. We have no business going to the United Nations, period. Right. We need to tell Secretary Guterres, thank you very much, but we're no longer going to attend United Nations. It's not our entity. Until we have true representation there. Goodbye. Right. With every engagement with the West. Right. For example, Zimbabwe and many other African countries, the remains of our ancestors who they murdered are still sitting in jars in their countries. Why are we going to engage them? Right. We want those remains returned with repercussions. Right. Until that's happened, everybody from your country, out. If you were former Portuguese colony, all Portuguese, get out of my country. Get out. If we can just make that position, your government is abusing us. Your government is refusing to give us back our ancestors, the remains of our ancestors who they murdered. Your government is refusing to give us back our artifacts, precious artifacts, priceless, that they stole. Right. Until these wrongs, these blatant wrongs are righted, every British citizen get out. Right. Every Portuguese citizen get out. Every German citizen get out. Let's see how quickly things will change. They'll move from there. The citizens do not know of the crimes that are being committed by their governments. Right. So let's put the power back to the people. Let's remind the people that every constitution starts with we, the people. So let's make those citizens, they must succeed in their civic duties. We, the people, are the ones who are failing. Let's come together. Let's understand the issues. And so for those of us who are elders, who are in the know, we have a responsibility to educate and to inform. Once the citizens are empowered with knowledge and the understanding of what is really going on, I do know for a fact, the average citizen of the world wants a righteous world, a world that is free of hate, racism, bigotry. That's what the average citizen.
For decades, the United Nations has positioned itself as a global mediator, but in practice, it often acts as a tool for maintaining Western global dominance. African nations are offered financial incentives, debt relief promises, and political support in exchange for votes that do not reflect African realities. Who then does the UN truly serve? If Africa continues to be treated as a pawn on the global chessboard, what is the true meaning of sovereignty? Can a continent be free if its votes are bought? What does this say about the global power structure and Africa's place within it? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Is Africa truly represented at the UN? The claim that Africans sold their own into slavery is one of the most persistent lies used to deflect responsibility for the transatlantic slave trade. While
Africans sold their own into slavery. I hate this comment so much and get it so often, so let's talk about why that statement is both heinous and disingenuous. First, if you read, you'd know that African systems of servitude were fundamentally different from what Europeans created. In many African societies at the time, enslavement was temporary, often results of war, debt, or crime, and people could marry, own property, and even regain freedom. That is nothing like the racialized, hereditary, and dehumanizing system of chattel slavery that Europeans built, a system where black people were treated as livestock, bred for labor, and tortured into submission. And even if Africans were involved in the trade, ask yourself, if someone sold you a person, what would you do? Would you chain them, beat them, rape them, force them to give birth to children you'd also enslave? Because that's what European enslavers did. Not just once, but systematically, by law and for profit. If it were me, I wouldn't buy them or I'd free them. I'd refuse to participate in the destruction of a human soul. But European colonizers didn't just accept the trade, they amplified it, scaled it, and legitimized it with laws, religion, and pseudoscience. So no, saying Africans sold their own isn't a history lesson. It's a deflection. It shifts blame away from the architects of one of the most brutal systems of oppression ever created. When you use that line to downplay or excuse what white enslavers did, you're not being objective. You're defending white supremacy. Whether you realize it or not, you're repeating a narrative designed to absolve the people who built, profited from, and protected the system of chattel slavery for generations.
it is true that some African elites engaged in slave trading, the broader narrative is a grotesque oversimplification that ignores the systemic violence, coercion, and manipulation brought by European powers. Jared Van, a behavioral scientist, explains that chattel slavery, where people are permanently treated as property, was alien to most African societies. Traditional African servitude, in many cases, was integrative, not dehumanizing. Europeans, however, brought weapons, divided kingdoms, raided communities, and manipulated leaders to fuel a billion-dollar slave economy. So, who truly orchestrated the machinery of the slave trade? Why does the world continue to blame the oppressed instead of confronting the architects of the system? Can Africa heal if the truth is continually distorted? We urge you to reflect and comment. What does historical justice look like to you? Let's not forget the Caribbean and how the British enshrined the horrors of slavery into law with the Slave Code of 1661, first in Barbados. This legal framework dehumanized Africans, labeling them as brutes and heathens, denying them even the most basic legal protections. This code spread like wildfire, forming the legal foundation for American slavery and institutional racism. They called our ancestors property. They criminalized blackness. This was not a simple matter of Africans selling Africans, this was a deliberate, codified system of terror. And yet, through it all, our ancestors resisted. They fought. They rebelled. How do we honor that resistance today? Is it enough to remember, or must we also demand reparations, justice, and full historical accountability? In a time when Africa is still grappling with neocolonialism, resource exploitation, and manipulated narratives, it is our responsibility to speak truth to power. These are not mere stories of the past, they shape how we are seen, how we see ourselves, and how we fight for our future. So we ask, when will the world stop miseducating us about our own history? When will we, as Africans, collectively rise to reclaim the narrative? Thank you for watching AfriFreedom Channel, where truth is not compromised and history is not whitewashed. If this video challenged your understanding or lit a fire within you, make sure to like it, share it widely, and most importantly, subscribe for more eye-opening content. Don't let these conversations end here. Join us in the comments and let your voice be part of the movement. Until next time, stay informed, stay bold, and stay free.